الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استفيد دروس في المعنى. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى. أما من استغنى فأنت له تصدى وما عليك ألا يزكى. وأما من جاءك يسعى وهو يخشى فأنت عنه تلهى. كلا إنها تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة بأيدي سفرة كرام بررة. قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره ثم إذا شاء أنشره. كلا لما يقض ما أمره. فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله استغفر الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى وسلم اللهم السلام كالسلام والإكرام سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير برحمتك يا رحمن. Respected brothers, today's collection was for Jamia Madaniya Islamia Darul Uloom in Karachi, Pakistan, where there are 348 students studying, from which 226 students are in boarding. It has been mentioned before, they are in need of a water plant for cleaning the water filter, which is costing them £1,300. Also, construction work is going on in the masjid and madrasa. They're in need of your donations. Brothers are requested to donate generously with your sadaqah, zakat and lillah donations. And finally, after the remaining salah, our Adhan workshop, Adhan series is going to be continuing, inshallah, today being the final part. Brothers are requested to kindly join in and participate. Inshallah, it will be very beneficial. Jazak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers who have completed their salah requested to come forward. जो हज़रात नमाज से फारिग हो गए उनसे गुजारिश है कि आगे करीब तशरीफ़ ले आए. बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद. Respected brothers, today is the final series, the final day to have our Adhan, Adhan and Iqamah course, which we have been doing. We have so far covered, started off about 5 weeks ago, 5-6 weeks ago when we started doing the history of Adhan. Then we went through the benefits of a mu'adhin, the Adhan, the Masa'il of Adhan. Last week we finished off the common mistakes in Adhan, and we went through the full Adhan from Allahu Akbar till the end. Today we are going to be concentrating on Iqamah. And like I said, inshallah, at the end of this, this is going to be very short, but the way we are going to do it today, I have appointed few of our masjid mu'adhins, scholars and people who are here. Inshallah, after this session, which is going to be a short, we'll be splitting up into groups, and inshallah we can maybe have the time, because last week we didn't get the time to do the full Adhan. And once we find out our mistakes, the main purpose today is to know the mistakes. Then once we understand our mistakes and we practice the Adhan, inshallah, during the time that we have, and when we are ready, we can maybe read the Adhan to someone, and hopefully, inshallah, even give the Adhan when we get the opportunity in the masjid. So we're going to just be looking at the common mistakes in Iqamah, and the things that we're going to be covering is the masnoon method of Iqamah. What is the way to do the Iqamah? Where to stop? What do we do as a mu'adhin, a person who is doing Iqamah, what he will do to place a sakin, where are the places where we should be placing sakin? How should the Iqamah be recited? The common mistakes in the way of pronouncing the word qad qamatis salah or the full Iqamah, what are the common mistakes? And finally, inshallah, we will be doing the practice. So just some of the masnoon method of Iqamah. Some of the things that you need to know. The first is a masla. In Adhan, we place our hands in the ears, but for Iqamah, we do not need to place the hands, that which we see every day. And it is not masnoon to place our fingers in the ears, to place the hands over the ears during the Iqamah. This is because Iqamat, I mentioned before, it is called out to in a lower voice for the people who are already present. But Adhan, we need to, the mu'adhin is advised that he should call out the Adhan as loud as he can. Because of the virtues, anything that he hears, all those places where the Adhan is heard, all the things will witness and give witness and testify for us on the Day of Judgment. So it should be said as loud as we can. It's a da'wat, and shaitan runs away from Adhan. Iqamat is also a da'wat, but it is mainly for the people who are present. That is why the masla, when we are reading salah at our workplace or at home, the masla is because if the masjid adhan has already been called out, then the people who are already there at the workplace, then there is no need to call out adhan. But if we do want to, then it is fine. But because it is only for the people who are present at home or those who are there from workplace, then iqamat would suffice and be enough. So for iqamat, we don't need to place a hand into the ears or the fingers, because it's for the people who are already here, is more lower voice. Also, it is not masnoon to turn during the iqamat, but I mentioned at the beginning, during the masla, there is no harm in slightly turning. When we're doing iqamat, when it comes to hayya ala tayn, hayya ala salah and hayya ala al-falah. In adhan, usually we turn the head. In iqamat or during the iqamat, it is not masnoon. So we wouldn't turn, but there are some scholars who have suggested that if you can turn, like you say, قَدْ قَامَتِ حَيَّ عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ حَيَّ عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ حَيَّ عَلَى الْفَلَاحِ حَيَّ عَلَى الْفَلَاحِ, only these two places, it is okay, but masnoon tariqah, the sunnat is, we don't need to turn. And the reason is the same, because people are already here, present, and it's just to, see, the adhan is to tell people, or to make people aware of the adhan or the namaz time. who are outside the masjid. Whereas iqamat is to make people aware that now the jamaat is starting, just for the people. So no need to turn or no need to do those things that we usually do in adhan. To call out the iqamat with hadar. Now that's one of the hadar is a bit more faster than adhan. Hadar, it doesn't mean not to stretch the words. So the way we Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, very, very slow. Not in the slow, it needs to be not to stretch, just read it and recite it. If hadar was left out in iqamah, it is not mustahab to repeat the iqamah because it is already to repeat the iqamah is not proven from hadith. It's because if someone does stretch it, then it is fine. So similar, but adhan, if someone reads it very fast, it's actually mustahab to repeat it. Sometimes when we do make adhan, we read it so fast, it is as though it's iqamah. So sometimes adhan is sunnah to stretch, and for iqamah it is masnoon to read it in a pace, in a hadar. As Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhu, this is one hadith, he says that he told, when you call out the adhan and call out slowly, meaning to take a breath after every sentence and call it in stretching words, and when you say the iqamah, this hadith, then call it quickly, meaning do not take any stretches or breath at every sentence. And inshallah we'll go through the iqamah where we should be taking the breaths. Inshallah. Okay. So these are the basic thing. To place a sakin, we mentioned in adhan. The 4 things are important in adhan. The pronunciation. Number 2 was the sakin, and then the stretches, and then the tone, the tune that we use. The 4 things that were important in adhan. Iqamat, there's only 3 things. One of them, for us, is a pronunciation. We pronounce every single word correctly, the letter correctly. Number 2, to know where to place a sakin. And number 3 is stretching, or where we stretch and we don't stretch. The tune, it's not that important because we are going to be doing it very quickly. But if someone does recite the iqamat in tune, then it is not a problem. But to place one should stop at the end of the words of adhan and iqamat and read it with a sakin. It's the same masla that is in adhan, same masla of placing a sukun in iqamat. In adhan, one should totally stop and make intention of waqf. Whereas the iqamat, we should do like a pause and we continue. I mentioned in adhan, when we stop, Allahu Akbar, and once we stop, it should be that much time given for the person that can reply, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Whereas adhan, with iqamat, it should be less pause. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Straight away we should start, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Go on to the next thing. There is no need to make a long waqf, long stop, or long pause between Allahu Akbar till Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Why? Because it is not masnoon to reply to the iqamah. Except for one place, adamahullah, in qad qamatis salah, there is a hadith, we can reply to only qad qamatis salah, but it's not in the hadith that we should, it says, muazzin says Allahu Akbar in adhan, then you should say Allahu Akbar, but not for the person doing the iqamat. So because there is no need to recite or repeat the words of iqamat for the people who are listening to it, so there is no need to pause or have a long pause in iqamah. This is a reason. Some people place that diacritical marks, meaning the harakat at the end of sentences, meaning harakat, zabar, zair, pesh, in iqamat, meaning like Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, meaning qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah, meaning placing a dhamma, pesh, the harakat, even though this method is correct according to the syntax nahwa, meaning qad qamatis salatu in the Arabic nahwa, those who know Arabic, salatu is fa'il of qad qamat. Qamat is the fa'il, the verb, salah is the fa'il, and the fa'il in those people who understand Arabic, it has a dhamma. So to place a dhamma according to the syntax and the nahwa, well, like I said, this only the people, scholars will understand, then it is correct. But when it comes to iqamat, even in adhan, you would place a sakin. And when you place a sakin on a round ta, we've done this in our maktab, in our Quran, it turns into a round ha. So qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. So the ta is there, but ta will not be pronounced because you will place, जब ta गोल ta पर वक्फ किया जाता है, तो उस गोल ta को ha से बदल देंगे. So you turn the round ta into a ha. So when you place qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, agarche wahan ta hai, lekin ta ki awaaz nahi aayegi. Even though there's a ta, the sound of ta won't come out unless you join it up. Qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah. Yes, we have heard mu'adhin in Haramain, they do it that way. So it's not wrong. It's not wrong that it's, but the masnoon way. So those that do it, they haven't done something wrong that the adhan should be repeated, or it's not valid, the iqamat needs to be repeated, iqamat is not valid. No, the way to do it, the masnoon way, is to do it. Ibrahim Nakhai, he says at the end of sentence of adhan as well, place a jazm and a sakin at the end of every sentence adhan iqamat. So that's, like I said, the first one, the pronunciation, second one is to know where to put the sakin. Now we're going to go into the common mistakes of iqamah. This is again the first thing, most important is the pronunciation. We can have a most beautiful adhan, someone doing it with very good adhan, with a very good tune, but if your pronunciation, if you're not pronouncing the Arabic letters correctly, then it will sound really bad. It doesn't sound good. It needs to be, rather you would have a simple adhan, simple iqamat with the correct pronunciation of the letters. So qad qamatis salah, the qaf, it is a big qaf, they're not a small qaf. People are qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, qad, qad. Qaf is a full mouth and it's big qaf. So qad qamat, in two places there's two qafs. Qad qamat, not qad qamat would be incorrect. So that's a common mistakes people will make in iqamat. The reason we're not going through those people who are here this today and they haven't been coming in the previous sessions is because we've gone through Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah. We've gone through all those adhan, the words of adhan, and we've gone through the common mistakes. So the common mistakes that we went through in Allahu Akbar, it's the same thing in iqamat. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, the common mistakes we went through there. In Ashhadu an la ilaha, that would apply also in the iqamat. So all those phrases we have already done. So Allahu Akbar is incorrect. Ashhadu wa la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu wanna, ashadu, seen, sheen. All those common mistakes we've gone through in adhan. We are going to do iqamat only qad qamatis salah because that's the only new sentence we are doing today. So qad qamatis salah is correct, not qad qamatis salah. The second common mistake somewhere is qad qamatis salah. Salah, salah. It's a very slight difference. Salah is a seen, salah, sad. It's sad and the seen are pronounced from the same place. The same place where the sad is pronounced, seen. They have the same makhraj, same point of articulation. The way the seen and the sad is pronounced is exactly the same. The only difference is sad is full mouth and the seen is empty mouth. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Sad and seen are very similar letters. Similar in qad qamatis salah. Some people pronounce instead of the sad, if you don't pronounce it full mouth, it will come out as a seen. So you say qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, which is wrong. Qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. Okay, so sad needs to come out because it's more full mouth. And the final this mistake that this is qad qamatis salah, the full mouth is the correct way. And the incorrect way, one other common mistake is the ta, the goal ta, which I have already mentioned. People pronounce qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah. To place a harakat, qad qamatis salatu, qad qamatis salah. It's not the masnoon way. The correct and the sunnat way is qad qamatis salah. And like I mentioned, the goal ta, the round ta, it just turns into a ha. So you pronounce a ha, even though the ta is there, you don't read the ha and read the ta instead. Don't read the ta. Instead, read the ha in the place of ta. Okay, so these are the three common mistakes. Now we're going to do the iqamah. So this is a very short session and we're going to be, inshallah, splitting up into groups who do want to practice adhan and iqamah. So today we're just going to practice underlined, all those that are underlined, they'll be pronounced in full mouth. So making sure they are pronounced full mouth because it wouldn't sound correct if you say Allahu Akbar, Allah, Allah. Allah, it makes a small, big difference. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah will be incorrect, or Rasulullah. And I mentioned all the other places. Salah will be full mouth. The sad, qad qamatis salah. and Allahu Akbar, the Lamb of Allah, for the Allah will be full mouth. Other thing, the places to stop. In Iqamah, this 4 times when you say Allahu Akbar, for each phrase, meaning each different phrase you'd stop. So you stop Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, all the way till there. So you stop at end of Allahu Akbar. Then you pause for a few seconds, then you go to Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Stop. Then you stop, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Pray these two together. The Ashhadu anna Muhammad, pray these two together. Then Hayya ala salah with Hayya ala salah, pray them phrases together. And then Hayya ala al falah, pray them together. And then even Qad qamatis salah, pray them together. And then pray Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, all 3 of them together. That is also the masnoon way to do it exactly, to stop at these places. So I'll just give a practice. Say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala al-falah, Hayya ala al-falah. Qad qamatis salah, Qad qamatis salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. This is a correct way where you to stop. The correct places to stop. Because sometimes you want Allahu Akbar, Allah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. People do these together. Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala falah, Hayya ala falah. They do them together. If someone stops in between anywhere, say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and then you stop and then take La ilaha illallah, it's not incorrect. See, there's a masnoon way, sunnat way, and there's a one way you can do it and take a pause or stop. You can stop even. People say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They would stop at Allahu Akbar, the 2 Allahu Akbar together. Even that, it's not wrong, but it's not the masnoon way. So there's one masnoon way that we need to practice, the way it's written by the fuqaha in the kitab, in the sunnat, and there's one way we just stop anywhere we want. So even that adhan and the iqamat will not be invalid. It doesn't need to be repeated if it's wrong, but it's just the masnoon way, the correct way. So stop after each of the phrases. Stop after the 4 Allahu Akbars. Stop after the Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Twice read Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Stop. Twice read Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala salah. Twice read Hayya ala falah. And read Qad qamat salah twice. And then the last 3, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, you can do it together. But if one stops here and does la ilaha illallah separate, it is still okay. So that's the full adhan and iqamat. So inshallah, I'm going to, how we're going to do this. But remember, I'll just do Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, then you repeat after me. Then you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, repeat after me. Is that okay? But before that we do Qad qamatis salah. So everyone practice this for us, because this is today's lesson. So say, Qad, repeat after, say, Qad. It's going to go word by word. Say, Qad. The second one, Qamatis. Because to قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. Now join both of them together. قد قامت الصلاة 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 قد قامت الصلاة. People who were here in the previous sessions remember the adhan, the common mistakes in adhan, they are the same common mistakes in iqamah. So we're going to go through quickly all of them again, but implementing those common mistakes and avoiding the common mistakes in iqamah. So Allahu Akbar, remember Allahu Akbar, make sure the waw doesn't come out. Allahu Akbar, it's not an alif after the ba, and Allahu Akbar, the alif is got, the hamza is got alif, and don't stretch Allah. So let's just do this. Allahu Akbar, it's a bit more in more fast in a hadar way, not like the adhan. So you say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The common mistakes, sheen, big sheen, there's no wow, ashhadu walla ilaha, it's got a zabar, not an alif after that, okay? So, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. same common mistake. Sheen is a big sheen, not ashadu, it's a big sheen. Not a wow, ashadu wanna, it's ashadu anna. Muhammadan Rasulullah, ra full mouth. And Rasulullah, not Rasulallah. Say this twice. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. You notice that the noon and the meme has gunna. In adhan I mentioned that we should try to do the gunna and stay on the noon and the meme longer. But because we're doing it hadar, we short, the gunna is very short. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul. It's the gunna is there, but very short. Okay, next one. Hayya alas. Make sure that we don't say hayya alas. Hayya alas salah, hayya alas. There's a ayn. Hayya alas salah. So a common mistake is the ayn is missed out. Sad is got a seen. And hayya alas salah. That's small ha. Hayya alas salah. Hayya. Sorry. Hayya alas salah. Hayya alas salah. Why this is difficult? Because we've got a small ha, then we have to transfer and change from a small ha. Actually, small ha comes from the bottom of the throat. The big ha comes from the middle of the throat. So, hayya ala salah, hayya ala salah. Do that again. This one, ha and ayn, middle of the throat. Hayya alal. Make sure the ayn comes out clearly. Not hayya alal falah, hayya alal, hayya alal. When you do it fast, the ayn is not. So you miss out the ayn. So hayya alal. So hayya alal falah. That's, remember the common mistake here is the big ha. Small ha in salah, but a big ha in the falah. So you have to have hayya alal falah. Then you start again, hayya. So you finish off with a ha and you start with a big ha again. Middle of the throat, ha and ayn. So let's try this. Hayya alal falah, hayya alal falah. Because we're going to be doing it in hadar, a bit more pace. So ha needs to be clear that we are placing a sakin on the ha here. Look, hayya alal falah, hayya alal falah. Okay, now we just done this. Qad qamatis salah. Qaf both full mouth, sad full mouth, and the round ta, not a ta, but you say a small ha. Qad qamatis salah, qad qamatis salah. And finally, Allahu Akbar. Remember the common mistake again, same as Allahu Akbar. Not Allahu Akbar, not Allahu Akbar, not Allahu Akbar. All this is wrong. Allahu Akbar. And all of them got sakin. La ilaha illallah, not la ilaha illallah. The common mistake is people pronounce or they place an alif after the ha. So Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. So alhamdulillah, that's our adhan is complete and iqamat. Just finally, I just want to say, those that are giving adhan, those that want to give adhan, those that are, whenever we practice giving adhan or iqamat, there are a few important reminders. Is first, you give adhan and iqamat with ikhlas, with the pleasure of Allah. With having this in mind, the Prophet ﷺ has given us, Allah Ta'ala, Prophet ﷺ made dua for all the mu'adhineens in the world and all the imams. Is Allahumma hadi mu'adhineen, Allahumma arshud, and may Allah give guidance to the mu'adhineen. Allahumma arshud, Allahumma hadi the imams, and Allahumma ghfil, oh Allah forgive the mu'adhineen. Prophet ﷺ's dua, and what niyat you should do is to call people of, pleasure of Allah is the first niyat that we should have. Not to, maybe mashallah, if someone has got good adhan and we want people to do wah, mashallah, this brother's got very good adhan, and then when it comes to fajr adhan, we're not there because no one's going to listen, but when the maghrib namaz will be the first one because everyone's going to listen to it. This is ikhlas, whether it is dhuhr, whether it is fajr, we're doing it for Allah Ta'ala. We're doing it for da'wat. Shaitan is going to run away from our adhan and he's not going to attack us. Everything is going to give witness for us, testify for Jannat and the day of Jannat. We are following the sunnah of the Prophet. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala says, if I was in the Imam and the Khalifa, I would choose to be a mu'adhin. Because he was a leader, he was a Khalifa. And in those days, whoever was a Khalifa and the leader, they become the Imam. So Prophet was the Imam and the leader, he was the Imam of Masjid al-Nabi. Hazrat Abu Bakr, when he became the Imam and the leader, the Khalifa, he was the Imam of Masjid al-Nabi. Similarly, Hazrat Umar, when he was a Khalifa, he was the Imam of Masjid al-Nabi. So Hazrat Umar, in one of his statements, he says, if I wasn't the Imam, meaning if he wasn't the Khalifa, he would choose to be a mu'adhin. And the scholars, the fuqaha, the shurrah, the interpreter of the hadith, they actually have this bahath, meaning this thing between them. What is afdal, a mu'adhin, adhan, or iqamat, mu'adhin or imamat? Adhan or imamat, which one is more preferable or which one is more better? So just to show the fact that there's a debate between some of the scholars who say that adhan, because you're calling everyone towards the adhan, mu'adhin, because of him everyone's coming towards and coming to the masjid. Adhan, the status of a mu'adhin is very high. But obviously the other scholars argue, but they have their own proofs, and they say that Prophet ﷺ was an imamat, he did imamat all his life. That's how hence the imamat is more afdal and more better, superior. But my point here is saying the adhan itself, do it for the pleasure of Allah, do it as we are following the sunnahs, and keep each mu'adhin should keep, before we go on to give adhan, think about all those fadail and the virtues. When we go into Jamaat, they say, check the niyat. What is your niyat before, middle, at the end? What are the rewards I'm going to get for this? And I mentioned many rewards in the fadail of the mu'adhin, and finally, your intention of da'wat, because when you make the adhan, what is the dua which is read after it? Allahumma Rabba, O Allah, the Rabb, هذه الدعوة التامة, the Rabb of this da'wah, which is a complete da'wah. And I mentioned in the previous sessions that why it's called a complete da'wah. If you give this intention, if you have these things in niyat for all the mu'adhin, and anytime you give adhan, just keep these things in front of us, inshallah. Our adhan will be the means of entering into Jannah. That one adhan, how many people are going to come to the salah? Inshallah, if we keep these things in mind, inshallah, our adhan and iqamat, like I said, everything requires practice. So this is what we're going to go into. Like the way we practice for other things, practice for Quran. And we might have learned adhan and iqamat in maktab or madrasa, but after that we haven't really practiced. So like the way we practice for Quran, we practice to deliver any speech. So adhan, again, it is a call, a da'wat, in front of everyone. So that requires practice. So without practice, just going on to the adhan and going to the mic and giving adhan, it is better to put someone who has practice, who has the adhan, or who can give the right adhan. Even if we want to, we have shauq, we have maybe desire, we want to do it, alhamdulillah, that is a very good, good thing that we want to. But it is, why not we learn and practice, and then request, inshallah, go forward. Because if there is someone who is going, or who knows how to do the adhan, and because of ourselves we want to do it, that's why we're just going forward. We don't know how to do it, we haven't practiced, we don't know the Masa'il, then it is better that we let them go forward. And if we want to do it, then we should practice. So now, inshallah, we're going to practice. This is inshallah, I'm going to be switching off the mic now. I have chosen, I think, 4 mu'adhins that we have in our masjid. Hafiz Sadiq, Hafiz Tamim, Hafiz Tamim, and they're going to be there, inshallah, into groups. I'm just going to we're going to split up into groups. Last week, I think more people wanted to practice, but because of the lack of time, we didn't have. So next 15 to 20 minutes, whoever wants to stay and join, inshallah, we'll have people in Hafiz Sadiq, Hafiz Muhammad, Hafiz Tamim, Maulana Uthman as well, and myself. We'll put you into groups. And inshallah, you'll be put into groups. We'll just split up into the masjid. And what we can do is you can read your adhan and your iqamat. Now the maqsad of this, again, like I said, don't think that we are going to make our adhans perfect in one day. It is just to know your mistakes. The mu'adhin will point out your mistake, that this is your mistake. You are reading this wrong, you're reading this wrong. That way you will know your mistake. You will take that back and you will learn and go through that. Listen to the adhans. This, I think, session has been recorded on YouTube, so you can listen to the previous sessions where I have gone through the common mistakes. Go through the common mistakes. Your common mistakes will be pointed out to you. Make a note of these common mistakes. Practice, and inshallah then, when we are ready, we can inshallah even have all different. So we'll have so many mu'adhineen, and we'll have to make a rota, inshallah, for mu'adhineen as well in Masjid Nurul Islam, hopefully in future. Where so many mu'adhineen want to give adhan, then why not? The more mu'adhin, the more better it is for us. inshallah. So I will inshallah pick out Hafsan. If you can 4 or 5 people can from this side, something like that. So can we turn this off now?